Hi, my name is Jesse T. If you're not familiar with me or any of my videos, I am a professional artist, various projects for the past over 20 plus years in various capacities. Today's sketch and skill that I'm trying to build is pen with no penciling construction whatsoever. How I'm achieving this with this practice is I'm mentally creating a grid in my mind as I'm going along with the sketch. What I mean by a grid is I'm trying to perfect my skill with measuring on the fly and doing what I would call relationship sketching. And this way, I'm constantly measuring. You'll see my hand as I'm sketching the sketch of a young lady in her relaxed pose. A lot of things is going through my mind as I'm doing this sketch. One of the main things, as I mentioned earlier, is measurement. I'm measuring everything mentally because, as any artist knows working with pen, you cannot make any huge mistakes really, because it'll be very noticeable. So here I'm working on the face, and I'm mentally gridding the glasses, the nose to the eyes, the mouth to the nose, the mouth to the eyes, the ears to the eyes, the ears to the nose, the ears to the mouth, so forth and so on. The chin to the hand that I'm working on right here. And I'm not getting highly detailed. I'm just visually mapping out. And what's extremely important with this exercise as well is proportions. I can't stress that enough. Developing with this practice, and what makes using the pen and not a pencil somewhat challenging is, as I aforementioned, you really can't make any great mistakes. So I'm constantly measuring my proportions and relationships. Extremely important. Relationships. Create as you're going along. It's almost like a puzzle of proportions, relationships, and flow. What I'm also keeping in mind as well is keeping the gesture as well. So when you see artists doing this type of sketching, and they're doing it very well, they're very adept at it, a lot of mental, I would say, in my opinion, a lot of mental gymnastics. It's very cerebral. When you're doing this is basically representational art. This is not something abstract. I know what I want. I know what I'm practicing. I know my goal. And the goal is to get this very relaxed gestural in this pose, and I'm also thinking several steps ahead as well. I'm thinking how I'm going to attack certain parts of the sketch that I'm working on, how I'm going to attack the hand on her face, how I'm going to attack the shadow from her hand on her face, how I'm going to attack her hair, how I'm going to get the jacket that she has on, how, and there's also perspective in this as well. I want her to look relaxed. In her pose, I want that perspective from her shoulder to her hand. I'm thinking about the hand, the other hand, not the one that's on her face, the other hand. So many things is going through my mind as I'm doing this ink sketch, and certain things that I want to focus on for this practice. Okay, I really want, and I think I did okay getting those folds to go in the direction that I wanted to go in regards to where her arm is placed on her leg in relationship to her hand and the garment she's wearing. Yeah, so right here, I'm thinking about the core shadows now to where I'm bringing out the form. But I'm also keeping in mind, I want to keep it somewhat minimal. I don't want a ton of details. I just want enough to get the image across nicely. And I'm also thinking about, with the many things I'm thinking about my lines as well. Not connecting every single line, as you can see in the sketch. Accentuating certain lines. I have a mindset that there is not going to be any major mistakes because of the mental grid and that I have in my mind, and that grid gives me relationships to everything that's going on with the sketch. Relationship to the hair, relationship to the glasses, relationship to the lips, relationship to the hand, relationship to the arm to the hand, relationship to the leg to the arm, relationship. Proportion. Okay? And contrast. I'm doing a certain type of cross-hatching as well. I'm not doing the standard cross-hatching where I go in one direction, then I go in another direction, then I go into an opposite direction. I'm doing it very minimally. The cross-hatching I'm using, it's a cross-hatching of where I'm going in a particular direction, like one direction, and I try to stay in that same direction so I can keep the tone consistent. Okay? I don't want this, I only want certain accents in the sketch to be very dark because I'm also thinking about how the eye is flowing for the sketch as well. Okay, so I'm building a skill of mental grid. I'm building a skill of proportions. I'm building a skill of learning more about my technique that I'm trying to perfect. I'm building a skill to build speed because I'm not trying to go fast. What I'm doing is trying to be accurate. When you're fairly accurate, the speed comes. And it's really almost like a puzzle. When you do when you have the mindset of doing relationships, yes, with the relationship mindset, you do almost feel like it's a puzzle, because the reason I say it's like a puzzle is because it'll all start to come together. Because you can see how one thing relates to the other. Now right here, I'm working on the hand, and knowing your anatomy. Yes, you have to know some anatomy. You gotta know anatomy. I had to make sure I got the feeling of the arm in the jacket, and there's a connection and a feel of it being grounded, as I was working on the hand just now. And you got to get those proportions right with the hand. So this pose, it's a little bit challenging because of that hand being almost a focal point with the nails that I worked on. So I had to make sure I get that hand in a very relaxed position. Make sure the hand looked feminine. I also had to think about the perspective with the hand in relationship to the head, to the shoulders, to the arm, and to the other arm that's on her face. So there's a lot of mental processing going on as I'm working on this sketch. So there's really isn't anything that's randomized. Almost every line has purpose. Because almost every line has purpose, I don't need a ton of lines. And this is the skill that I'm trying to build more. I'm usually doing my sketches with pencil, but this is on a whole nother level as I'm doing more of these. I would normally, as you see with most artists, do the pencil under sketch to make sure everything is in its proper place, everything is correct. Depending on what kind of pencil you're using, lighten it up. Or some artists make a tight penciling and then they start their inking process. Depends on what kind of artist you are. So, you got all kinds of sketch artists. You got the comic book artists. You got the fantasy artists. It's just all kinds. And as you see these artists working on their pieces, and then going straight to just using straight up pen, it's because of all of the time they put in, all the practice, successes and failures. This one, if I was to grade myself, I would probably say I accomplished many things that I wanted, but there is one or two things that I would say me personally I wanted to do more of, but I really wanted to get that jacket, the folds in the jacket, and that kind of and that perspective of the hand, the eyes, and how I wanted my viewers' eyes to travel with this little sketch. At one point, to be completely honest, I was going to stop, and then I said to myself, just keep with your technique of relationships and proportions and get a focal point. I don't know if I'm hoping, and I think I got certain focal points conveyed. I'm going to call this complete. Of course, I could have went a lot further with the skirt and so forth and so on. But thank you for watching. Bye-bye.